All right, let's jump right in. What if you could stop just paying your power bill and start owning your very own personal power grid? We're going to dig into what could be a massive shift in how we all think about energy. So, let's get into it.
So the whole idea really starts with this powerful statement: capture the sun, store the power, and own your grid. I mean, that's not just some catchy tagline, right? That's the entire philosophy packed into one sentence. It's all about changing our relationship with energy, moving from just being a customer to being in control.
Yeah, we're talking about a complete role reversal here. Think about it. Instead of just being a passive consumer, at the mercy of some giant far-off power plant, you become the producer. You're at the very center of your own energy world.
And this slide really lays out the difference, doesn't it? On one hand, you've got the old grid. It's dependent, it's centralized, and let's be honest, it can be pretty limited. It kind of chains us to this big, sometimes fragile system. But on the other hand, your grid, well, that's all about being independent, decentralized, and having what's called 24/7 baseload power. We'll get more into that in a sec.
So the big question is, how does this all actually work? What makes it possible? Well, the engine driving this whole shift is actually a pretty powerful but surprisingly simple combination: solar panels working together with battery storage.
And the process itself is really straightforward. It's just 4 simple steps. Step 1, your solar panels soak up all that energy from the sun. Step 2, you use that power for whatever you need during the day. Now, step 3 is the real game changer. You store any extra power you're not using in a battery. And that leads to step 4. You can then use or dispatch that stored power anytime you want, day or night. It's totally up to you.
Okay, now at the heart of this Forerunner system is something called a proprietary solid-state battery, and that's a really big deal. Why? Because solid-state tech is pretty much seen as the next big thing in batteries. For better safety, better efficiency. It tells you this isn't just some off-the-shelf parts cobbled together, this is next-gen stuff. But, while that solid-state tech is kind of the headliner, the system is actually really flexible. It can also work with other tried-and-true battery types, like lithium iron phosphate, or litho-4, and even good old lead acid. And that's smart, because it means there are different options to fit different needs, and of course, different budgets. And this brings us right back to that key phrase I mentioned earlier, 24/7 baseload. So what does that really mean? Well, it's the answer to the oldest problem with solar, right? What happens when the sun isn't shining? By storing that energy, you make your solar power dispatchable, meaning it's there when you need it. You get constant, reliable energy anytime. It's literally like having your own personal power plant on standby.
Okay, so let's bring this down to the residential level. How does this apply to your home? We are talking, pretty much literally, about turning your house into its own personal, automated, smart power plant.
And the term they use for this is a nano-smart grid. I kind of like that name. It tells you it's more than just solar panels and a battery box. The smart part is key. It's a whole integrated system for your home that uses artificial intelligence to manage everything for you.
So the whole thing boils down to 3 main parts. You've got your solar panels, obviously, to generate the power. You've got your battery to store it. And then you have the AI automation, the brains of the operation. This AI is constantly, intelligently managing where the energy goes, from the panels to the battery to your home, optimizing everything in the background so you don't even have to think about it.
All right, but this technology isn't just for our homes. This is where things get really interesting, because when you scale this up for businesses, it becomes truly transformative. We're talking about a world where energy stops being just another expense on the balance sheet and actually becomes an asset, something that can generate revenue.
One of the biggest wins for businesses is a strategy called peak shaving. Here's a simple way to think about it. You know how electricity costs way more during those peak hours, like late afternoon when everyone's cranking the AC? Well, with your own battery full of stored energy, you can just opt out. You tell the grid, no thanks, I'm not buying your expensive power right now. You just use your own supply instead. You literally shave that expensive peak right off your bill. And that is a huge, direct money saver.
And this completely changes how a business looks at its own property. Suddenly, that giant, unused roof space or that massive parking lot, that's not just empty space anymore. It's a potential power station. It's an asset just waiting to generate and store energy and value. So for any business, the benefits here are pretty massive. You're turning an operating expense, your power bill, into a valuable asset. These systems are powerful enough to offset heavy industrial loads. Plus, there are often huge tax credits available, like the ITC, to help with the cost.
You can even put up solar canopies over your parking lot. And with financing options like zero-down power purchase agreements or PPAs, getting started is way more accessible than you might think.
So, when you put this all together, what's the big takeaway? We are absolutely looking at a potential paradigm shift, a fundamental change in how we all think about and use electricity.
And it all leads to this one really provocative final question. As this kind of technology becomes more and more common for both our homes and our businesses, is owning your energy just going to become the new standard? Is this the future? It's a really powerful thought to leave you with.